It's a cold fall day and it's perfect day to make a loaded baked potato soup. Join me as we make this soup. All you need is some russet potatoes, a little bit of bacon, and just some seasonings, and you've got the perfect soup. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chef Connie Powers and you're watching Rogers TV Farm to Fork. Today I'm taking you on a great tour to Cameron, Ontario, where there we're going to meet Colin Williams of that farm on Glenarm, and you guessed it, it's on Glenarm Road. When we went there, it was April, it was freezing cold. We did most of the interview in a greenhouse because it was too cold to be outside. We did see some blossoms starting on the strawberries, and Colin was telling us what he was going to be planting. His new crop was going to be potatoes. So we decided that for his episode, we were going to make a loaded potato soup. And let's get started. First, you need to decide whether you want to make this loaded potato soup vegetarian or not. And all that difference is using bacon to start off the roux or not. We've decided to use bacon in our roux today. What you want to do is start rendering your bacon in a cold pan. You'll get better fat production that way. So we're going to get our bacon rendering. Okay, so we're going to get the bacon just cooking up a bit. I have it on a medium heat. And we'll remove that bacon, and that's when we're going to add the aromatics. Like I said, put it into a cold pot so that you render it completely and it doesn't cook before it renders. Okay, almost done, and then we will put it on the paper towel. I don't want to take it off before it's done. You want to end up with about 3 tablespoons of bacon fat. Now, if you don't have that, you could either, if you've got some collected from before, or you could add some butter, because the butter and the bacon fat together is nice. This sounds a little bit like that's a lot of fat, but it's not. This is a very mild soup, and so the bacon is going to give you the flavor. All right, I have removed all of the bacon. This will be added later. This is a great soup for a chilly day. Today it's raining and it feels perfect to make this kind of soup. All right, I've got my bacon fat in there, and now I'm going to add the aromatics. So I've got 1 medium onion, 3 stalks of celery, small stalks. If you've got celery with leaves, you want to use that because that's where the flavor is, and about 4 to 5 garlic cloves. All right, so I am going to add about 1 medium onion, finely diced. I'm going to dice this up, and we're going to go for a short break. When we come back, we're going to add all the aromatics. We'll be right back. And we're back. You're watching Farm to Fork. I'm Chef Connie Powers, and today we're touring that farm on Glenarm in Cameron, Ontario. We're going to be making a fully loaded baked potato soup. So I do have some potatoes diced, and you use russets. What we started off doing is we started off rendering about 7 to 10 slices of diced bacon in our stock pot. We've got that done, and now we're going to add the aromatics. I'm going to turn the heat back on. While you were away at the break, I diced up all of our aromatics. Now I have onions, celery, and garlic. Add the garlic last. Nobody likes bitter garlic. It doesn't take as long to cook as the onions. We want these translucent. Let the garlic be the last thing you add. If your family isn't interested in garlic, if you've got some kids who say, ew, all you have to do, don't eliminate it, just have to chop it in bigger pieces. The bigger the garlic, the less flavor it imparts. So you mince it if you want a lot, and I have. So we're going to get this cooking up into that bacon fat. Got it on a medium heat. And we're just going to get that translucent. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Use kosher salt so that it is a little more mild. We'll set that aside, stir that up. Some people may even use the kosher salt to help dice up the garlic. Give some traction, some friction, and you can get it diced up. So while we were visiting the farm, we went in April and it was cold, and so there weren't a lot of crops in, but there was a lot of seedlings being germinated at the time. He told us to come back, and we did. We went back in June and we saw the gardens and the fields crazy growing. So then he started to dig up some potatoes and said, look, I've just started growing potatoes, and they were lovely. So I said, would you like us to make a baked potato soup? And he said, I think that's a great idea. Okay, so our onions and celery are doing well. They're getting nice and clear. Let's add our garlic now so that we don't burn it. And we're going to stir this up. That's a really nice smell. Between the aromatics, the bacon, and the garlic, that's a really nice smell. Like I said, if you don't feel like you wanted to use as much bacon fat, you could use some butter. Okay, I smell the garlic cooking. I don't want it to overcook. We're going to add in a 1/4 cup of flour now. To sprinkle that into the base of the stock pot and let it cook. Don't want to burn that. Just get it all coating the aromatics, and then we're going to add in our liquid. So this is where we're going to add in 3 cups of chicken stock. You could use vegetable stock if that was the way you were making this. All right, we let this cook a little bit and we wait for it to start thickening up, and then we'll start adding the rest of our things. Okay, so we have added the flour and we've added the chicken stock, and now we're getting a nice smooth texture to our soup base, and we're going to let that just simmer for a bit. And the next thing we're going to do is add some potatoes. We have got 2.5 pounds, 1 1/4 kilos of russet potatoes, diced small, and we're going to add that to the thickened chicken stock. And we're going to add a little bit of thyme. You can add a couple sprigs of fresh. That is fresh from the garden that I dehydrated about a week ago, so it's really nice and flavorful. Okay, so we're going to let that cook for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish the soup off. We're going to take you on the farm tour right now. You're going to meet Colin on his farm, the farm on Glenarm, and he's going to explain to you the way he does his CSA program. He used to live in Muskoka area, and he found that the farming was better in Cameron, so he moved to Cameron, and he's working this farm, but he still takes produce to the Muskoka area. Listen to what Colin has to say about it. Welcome to my series, Farm to Fork. We are here in Cameron, Ontario, at that farm on Glenarm, and we're here with Colin Sober-Williams, the owner and operator of this farm. So, Colin, thanks for having us here today.
Yeah.
This is complicated, though. We had a hard time figuring out where you were. So, you told us that you were in Huntsville.
Yes.
Huntsville isn't a place to farm?
We tried my best for 2 years, but between the rocks, the soil quality, and the deer, it wasn't going to be a viable career option.
So you then leased and recently purchased this farm. Congratulations on that. And you still have a connection to Muskoka, though, and Bracebridge, because you are the founder of Eat Local Muskoka.
Yeah, so we're really looking at increasing local food security in the region, and just growing up in Muskoka, that's where all my friends and family are, and we do weekly food deliveries.
Do you work any farmers markets there, or is it just the CSA program that
Just
you
the
deliver?
CSA program. We deliver to a few restaurants that we're friends with as well, and some of the health food stores, but it's mostly for local families that are looking to get fresh organic produce that you can't find in the grocery store there. We're not looking to charge Toronto prices for what we're growing.
Yeah, and the community appreciates that. We are going to take a little tour, and we're going to explore the greenhouses, we're going to explore the land, we're going to hear more about how the viewers can access your product. So, Colin, you're a young farmer, I can see that.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that you are not from a generational farming family. This is all you. How does that get started?
Yeah, so I was very lucky growing up in Muskoka. I definitely grew an appreciation for working outdoors and just being in the natural environment. And when I was looking at career options, I found out pretty quickly that a desk job just wasn't going to work for me. And I then found farming and took the Sustainable Agriculture program at Fleming College. Then really got connected with local farms in the area here, and was able to start something up small and just grow it a little by little every year.
So what do we have here? We've got arugula.
So this is a salad mix.
Okay.
We grow a few different varieties of lettuce in our greenhouse here for early season production. And then once we're ready to harvest these in about 3 weeks' time, then we'll be planting our tomatoes.
So what's the variety of things that you grow on this farm?
So we grow a mix of everything. Everything from asparagus to zucchini, basically. Because we're really close with the Amish community here, we do work closely with them to grow as a community. So we're not growing everything ourselves, but we do make sure there's a good variety for everyone. And that way, it's just easier to manage. So each family can focus on growing specific crops in larger amounts.
And that value that's in the Amish community of everyone works together and we share is very, very much in play here.
Yeah,
Any
they're great people to work
livestock,
with. So we had chickens here previously, and let me tell you, cleaning eggs is not
It's not
my
faint.
favorite. Yeah,
I've heard that.
takes a lot of time.
So you have strawberries, you were saying, and
Yeah.
that is being sold at your farm stand at
Yeah,
the road.
we have a farm stand on Glenarm here, so that gets really busy on weekends in the summer, and and then it goes into our food boxes as well.
So the address here is
2148 Glenarm Road.
Glenarm, that farm on Glenarm. So you're between, this is Cameron, so you're between Fenland and Cameron.
Yeah, we're just off of 35. Most locals know it as the S-Bend.
Yes, we have heard the S-Bend.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to brave outside. Colin has told us that he is growing kale. When was this kale planted?
So this was planted last week. So the seedlings we started in our greenhouse, or our seedling greenhouse, we'll show you that next. In the next year or two, we'll be setting up a actual heated greenhouse space, and then we'll have the capacity to have a proper seedling sale every spring here too.
So when you started the Eat Local program in 2016, how it's taken you from then till now to keep building each year and to get to the greenhouse stage and the seedling?
Yeah, it's a lot of money to put the capital in to build up the infrastructure. But every year we're making more and more investments. So now that we've bought the farm, we're able to put more of that permanent infrastructure in. Okay.
Oh, look at this. Oh no!
So you can see we've got our pea shoots here. So the tops off and let them
It's warm in here.
green
Though.
up.
What's the temperature of this seedling greenhouse?
Well, this is passive solar, so when we get more sunshine, it warms up, and then we have to vent it. But
Oh, it would get really hot in here.
yeah, it's nice.
So these pea shoots, what will happen with these?
So these will be in our first food boxes in 2 weeks' time. So they grow really fast. They're just little microgreens, but once they're about 4 inches tall, the leaves will leaf out, and then we'll harvest them for all of our food box members. And they're just a nice little salad treat for the early spring.
It's a great crunch. There's so many nutrients in microgreens.
Mm-hmm.
It's great on a sandwich, on a burger, in a wrap.
Yeah.
So it's cold. I mean, here we are in April, and it's cold outside, and you're motivated. You're still coming out here. You know, we have to give you credit for that. So you're still here. You started this probably your seedlings in March.
Yeah.
Mid-March, early April, you've started your seedlings. And then, or even earlier, because you've got them all out in the greenhouse.
Yeah, we normally start March. And yeah, they grow pretty quickly once the sun warms up. And then, yeah, we're off to the races. We've been at it pretty hard so far with a smaller crew, and then once May starts, then our full crew comes back.
Right now you have a few employees, but then when summer really is in full swing, you've got about 6 employees working.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So that's delivery people working at your stand.
We haven't invested in a tractor yet, so
Small steps.
It's a lot of handwork.
So what will go in the fields?
So in the fields, next week I guess this week now, before the rain, we're hoping to get in our first early greens. So radishes, arugula, mizuna, tatsoi, bok choy, all the cold weather, cool crops that can handle being frosted again.
Frosted. What about beets? Do they go in yet?
Beets and carrots. We're doing our first plantings as well. They might be a week or two later, just because, they're not super fond with the cold, but they'll survive.
And then all of this is for sale at your food stand, at your road stand, but you also put this into all of your boxes.
You got it, yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So your program at Fleming College was?
Sustainable agriculture. So it was a 1-year postgraduate program, teaching everything from marketing to hands-on growing skills to business planning.
We did some work with the Edwin Binney Community Farm. Were you part of learning on site at that farm?
When I was in the program, we had a campus farm pilot project. So we did about 1/10 of an acre in production, and we sold that on campus.
Do you see this as a sustainable career? Are you doing this for the long haul?
Yeah. I mean, we're really just getting started, and we're looking for more people to join us along the way. As we grow the business, we're hoping to hire more people, and we've always been of the opinion that we can accomplish a lot more working together than we can competing against each other. We're more than the sum of our parts, and it's something that we're really trying to foster here is a good work environment where we can all specialize into specific tasks and all grow the business together.
Are you able to utilize student programs?
Yes, we do welcome some CoOp students from Fleming College, and other locals as well that are interested in a farming career. So instead of using chemical fertilizers, what we focus on here as an organic farm is really building up the soil health through cover crops that you see behind us here. and really trying to add in as much organic matter as possible to the soil, so that the soil bacteria, the earthworms, the fungal networks have enough food.
So you're growing strawberries in landscape fabric, not in straw.
Yeah, so we have tried a few different styles of growing strawberries now. We grow about 2,000 plants a year, and this year we tried it in landscape fabric, so we'll know by June if it was a good idea or not. The growth coming up this spring is looking really healthy. So
it is, and you've added all of this leaf compost in here. That's to keep the warmth in it.
Yeah, and with any luck, we'll have an early crop this year. The landscape fabric helps to warm up the soil a bit earlier. Yeah, when it's peak season, we're getting anywhere from 200 to 500 quarts out of the patch a week.
Good for you. And we're back. That was a great tour. Colin was such a gracious host. We felt great being there. We learned so much about being a steward of the land, being respectful of the land, and food sustainability. It was a really good visit. We are in the process of making a loaded potato soup, and we started off by rendering some bacon, used the bacon fat to make a roux, added some onions, celery, garlic, and some kosher salt, and then we added 2.5 pounds of russet potatoes diced. We simmered that, and some thyme. We simmered that for 20 to 25 minutes. I just checked, and they're nice and tender. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to reduce our heat. And I am going to take some of the potatoes and use an immersion blender to make that smooth. You could make the whole soup smooth. I choose not to. I think that it's nice to have some consistency in this potato soup. So I'm going to take some of it to make it nice and smooth and creamy, and I'm going to leave some of the potatoes as texture in the soup. So let's go take this over to the immersion blender, and let's make this a nice creamy consistency. So this is about 2 cups of the soup base with the potatoes, and we're just going to mix this up, and you can see that it's starting to look a little bit like mashed potatoes, but the mashed potato look will be fine when it goes into the soup base. All right, we're going to put the blended potatoes back into our broth. I can smell the garlic, but it's not an incredible amount. It's just a nice warm scent to it. Okay, that made a delicious soup, but it's not done yet. Now we're going to add in 1 cup of heavy cream. If you choose not to use heavy cream, you could use whole milk. I wouldn't go lower than whole milk though. Now this is where you just use your eye. This is a delicious looking consistency. It looks like a nice potato soup. And you see what I mean by the chunks in there? That's going to be yummy. It still has some room to cook. So we're going to add some fresh ground pepper. Here's where you could use some of your creativity. You may choose to add a little nutmeg. People do like to have nutmeg in a potato soup. You can add a little paprika, a little bit of hot chili flakes, whatever suits your flavor, whatever suits your taste. Now we're going to add in 1 cup of cheddar cheese. That's a generous cup. I did that because I had lots of cheddar cheese. That's going to give it a nice orangey glow. That's going to give it a nice orange color, and it's also just going to give it a nice depth of flavor. And this is where we add the rendered bacon back in. You could hold back a little bit if you wanted to use it for a garnish, but I'm going to garnish this with chives. Now, we just want to cook that. I can smell the cheddar cheese, I can smell the bacon, everything's coming through. and it is a beautiful consistency. Let's just cook that and let everything blend together, and we're going to plate it up. All right, we are ready to plate it up. I just put it in a bowl, and I'm going to add a little bit of dried chives to it. You could have some fresh chives. Let's give this a taste. It's pretty hot. It tastes like a baked potato. The cheddar cheese in there is perfect. Thank you to Colin and all of his staff on that farm on Glenarm. Give him a look-see on Instagram, follow him, and check into his CSA program. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks for joining in with us. In the meantime, keep cooking.